second part of our monthly Lamrim session. This month, as with all the sessions that I deliver, I encourage a exploratory approach to the themes. So to listen to the theme and then to consider it from your own perspective, and then to explore in your life. The theme of this month through July, because these Lamrim retreats are at the beginning of each month, explore what you take refuge in, what you go to for protection, who you turn to for protection. Because we're always turning to something, turning to our family, turning to our phone, turning to the internet, turning to distraction, turning to our bank balance, thinking that. And just look at what you turn to, and look at what you believe will protect you from your suffering. The three jewels, taking refuge in the three jewels, is a way to protect us temporarily from the sufferings of this life and permanently from the sufferings of all our countless future lives. So this is something a little bit further in this sense of, so I introduced in that first session how the Dharma of Buddha's teachings protects us from the suffering, for example, of anger. When our mind is experiencing the suffering of anger, we can practice the Dharma of patience. That Dharma of patience will protect us from the suffering of anger. That's wonderful. That helps us in this life to be happy. When we're experiencing discontentment and our mind is agitated and distracted, we can train in various meditations to calm and pacify the mind, to protect us from all that agitation. That is the Dharma, Buddha's teachings. All the experience and the benefit that you've received from any of these meditations, however long you've been practicing, that is the Dharma. You've been applying the Dharma, the medicine of Buddha's teachings, into your life. So it's useful to appreciate where this is coming from. So the more you practice and receive benefit, the more you can take refuge, the more that you see that it works, the deeper trust and faith you have in the three jewels. So having faith and turning to the three jewels, comes from our own experience and confidence in the practices. And the more we see it, like for example, you're angry, you identify the anger in your mind, you turn to Buddha and you apply patience, the anger's gone. Therefore, this, you can save yourself so much suffering from doing that than holding on to anger throughout the days, weeks, months, and years. So much suffering coming. But that's the suffering of this life. With respect to last month, we were looking at past and future lives and how our mind is a formless continuum. So when our body stops, our mind continues. Yeah, mind continues. So when our body stops working, yeah, our mind carries on. It's propelled into our next existence through the force of our karma. So next month we'll be exploring this theme, karma, or cause and effect, actions and effects. Most humans, when they die, take a lower rebirth. That's normal. Because what happens is we come into the human realm, we burn up all our good karma through enjoying ourselves, yeah, licking ice creams and whatever we do. Yeah. We burn up all our good karma with our good conditions. We think good conditions are a cause of happiness. They're not. They're really just burning up all our positive karma. You can see many people with good conditions do not experience peace and happiness. Good conditions are not causes of happiness, they're just external comfort. So, most humans, when they die, they take a lower rebirth. What is a lower rebirth? Meaning our consciousness descends into the form of an animal or an insect or into a hungry ghost or into a hell realm. That's it's actually referred to as our normal address, the lower realms. This human realm experience that we're currently having for a very short period of time is a brief respite from a normal existence. At the moment, we may not have any protection from that experience, the sufferings of the lower realms. So when we die, many people die in a state of fear and dread because they have no idea where they're going or what's going to happen to them. And for good reason, because for most people, they're on the fast track to the lower realms. Yeah, just look at what, you know, if your mind is predominantly interested in animal type activity, then that's an indication that's where you'll end up. If your mind is sort of heavy and full of negativity, if you die with that attitude, you take a low rebirth. Like, for example, if you die with an angry mind. So, if we have not resolved our anger in this life, we've spent it blaming other people. And let's say when you're dying, one of those people that you're angry with actually come into the hospital room. Yeah. And then they start behaving in the way that you found so annoying and frustrating through your life. They're doing it again. And then you're lying there. And maybe even interfering with your death. These people do. Hmm? And then it's like you've got no control because you're just lying there. That's what you can do. Just get angry and die with an angry mind. Take a low rebirth. It's not their fault, that particular family member. It's not their fault. It's the fault of anger. You die with an angry mind, you'll go to a hell realm. As simple as that. Hell realms are places that are pervaded by fire and pain. Yeah. Maybe we've experienced a resembling hell realm in this life. Yeah. People right now in psychiatric units and so on, believing that they are being, uh, full of paranoia, full of fear. That's indication of hell realm, resembling hell realm. Not uncommon. Many animals, they're on the verges of hell realms, you know. You just see, just look at what happens to animals out in the wild. I mean, hell realms are, of course, not the types of places you want to be going, but even animals, you know, being ripped to shreds, just trying to sleep through the night and being ripped out of your nest, ripped to shreds for someone's supper. It's, yeah, awful existence, terrible. Mm. You look at what animals do to each other. Mm. Just watch some animal programs, you know, the realistic ones. You know, the watch these safari things. You know, these live stream safari where you see just animals. It's such a so much pain and suffering. What protection do we have from that at the moment? And if, like, for example, remember the death meditation? Oh, I keep forgetting that. I keep thinking I keep planning for the future, pretending that I'm not going to die. Oh, it's come back again. In the death meditation, I may die today. It's still, yeah, still the truth. Even though it was 2 months ago, I may die today. If the question is, if I die today, where will I be tomorrow? Most probably in a lower realm. I mean, how does that feel? You know, just thinking that. Well, come on, it's a Sunday. Let's relax. Let's talk about some nice things. Yeah. Ooh, that's the. If we die today, tomorrow we could be in a lower realm. Yeah. How does that feel? Ideally, it should move us. You know, and think, I don't particularly want to go to a lower realm. Yeah. I don't want suffering. I mean, we don't like any form of suffering, but the suffering we currently experience in the human realm is nothing to what is coming in the future. So this is why we need some protection. You know, the refuge in the three jewels is going to protect us from the sufferings of this life, which is nothing, but more importantly, the suffering of all our countless future lives. Yeah. For example, when we die, if we go for refuge at that time, yeah, turn to the three jewels for protection, we protect ourselves from the sufferings of the lower realms. How? Because our mind is positive. Our mind is transcending. Yeah. It's up. So we need to be going upwards, up into the upper realms and then out into the pure lands. Yeah. The training in Dharma and following Buddha's instructions. First of all, protecting ourselves from the negativity in our mind in this life. And then on a deeper level, protecting ourselves from the sufferings of the lower realms. Yeah. And then on an even deeper level, protecting ourselves from the sufferings of the higher realms, or what is known as samsara. Samsara is a Sanskrit word which means cyclic existence. Within cyclic existence, which means uncontrolled rebirth, yeah, uncontrolled mind leading to an uncontrolled rebirth, you may have removed negativity from your mind. Yeah. So you've protected yourself from the sufferings of the lower realms. Yeah. You've got refuge. So you can be safe. You're secure from that. You're going, it's like things are moving up. What's that one? Things can only get better. It's, yeah. If you've got refuge in the three jaws, things are going to get better. Yeah. Not with the government. Uh, if we go for refuge to the three jewels, things are going to get a lot better. We can be confident that we're protected from the lower realms. But then it's like, what about the higher realms? So we could take another human rebirth. Do you want to go through all that again? 9 months in the womb and then play group and being ushered off to school every day. Yeah. Having to deal with all the teachers and all of that. I mean, of course, the teachers are so kind and doing their best, but it's a long-winded process, isn't it? The human existence, just to get where we are, going through the whole education system and all the issues that we have as human beings. And, yeah. You really want to do that again? And maybe in a human form that is not as fortunate as the one we have now. Yeah. One, I was in the toilet yesterday, yeah, in Warwick. Yeah, they've got these these toilet twinning. Yeah, this toilet is twinned with a toilet in Pakistan. Yay! This great charity then build toilets across the world. Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic charity. Toilettwinning.co.uk or something like that. You can twin your home toilet with another toilet somewhere in the world and put a picture above your toilet saying this toilet is twinned, because you made some donation to build a toilet. How kind of people to do that. We could do that in our toilet at home, toilet twinning. But it says, if you look at the small print, which I did, yeah, as I was in there, it says 1 in 3 people across the world are without a loo. That's the word they used. 1 in 3 people don't have a toilet. Many, many human. So you think just basic sanitary conditions, 1 in 3 people, it's a huge statistic, isn't it? 1 in 3 people across the world don't have basic sanitary conditions. We could take rebirth in that type of environment, very dirty environment, unclean environment. We may get out of the human realm, like people who meditate, for example, without refuge, without seeking protection. They can end up taking a higher rebirth into a god realm because they're blissing out all the time and so peaceful. They're even thinking, "Oh, I've attained enlightenment." So they die and they're so peaceful and calm, and then it's like they go somewhere. I'll be expecting an email about this later, Pamela, please, about these god realms. These they they go to a god realm and they think they're enlightened because they're blissing out, all peaceful and calm for a while, but they have no refuge or protection from the sufferings of the lower realms. So what happens is, through the power of their meditation and peace, they go to the upper realms, the God realms, God type realms, whether it's a form realm, so they have a form, or a formless realm where they have no form, yeah, but they just have this blissful mind. And they're abiding there for quite a while, thinking, hey, hey, I'm liberated, I'm enlightened. But when all their karma runs out, they die, and then they take a low rebirth. That's a big, big come down. Yeah, so they're blissing out in the god realms. And apparently, the death of a god is extremely traumatic. Yeah, because they start to see through their clairvoyance. Yeah, gods have clairvoyance. So being clairvoyant is not that big a deal. Gods have clairvoyance, so they can see that they're going to die and they're going to take an unfortunate rebirth, and there's nothing they can do to stop that. And then when they die, they end up in the lower realms again. Fancy that? So it's just, they've just like gone on holiday, they're blissing out for a while, but they have no protection. We have to think carefully about these things, you know. We have to think very, very carefully. So the upper realms, human realms, God realms, formless realms, lower realms, animal realms, hungry ghost realms, hell realms. These realms are not geographical locations, you know. They are mental states. Yeah. You can be in a resembling God realm in a human body. Blissing out in meditation is like a resembling God realm. You can be in a state of deep paranoia. It's like a resembling hell realm. Does anyone always feel hungry? Always looking for food? Trying to find a place to eat? Where should we go? You go on holiday, you're looking at all the menus. Should we go in here? Oh no, let's go to the next one. Oh no, that's a form of suffering. Yeah, that's like a hungry ghost looking for food. Was we ever resembling? This is an indication that these places exist. So the question is, what's going to protect us from these realms? You know what's coming, don't you? Taking refuge in the three jewels. Like, because it's like refuge will protect us temporarily from the sufferings of this life. It'll protect us from the sufferings of the lower realms by keeping our mind strong, positive, and reducing the power of negativity, and having this ally who is outside this cycle. Like Buddha, he's outside the cycle of existence. He's not a god. Yeah. Buddha is not a god. He's not in the god realms. Many gods. He's outside of it. He's liberated from this cycle. How did Buddha get out of this cycle of existence? It's a big question. Yeah. How did he get out? By realizing how things actually exist. Yeah. By realizing ultimate truth and attaining liberation. Within Buddha's teachings, there are teachings on how to permanently liberate ourselves from all suffering of this life and all our countless future lives. Within the Dharma, in particular, Buddha's teachings on reality, what are known as emptiness or ultimate truth, it teaches us how to completely remove all negativity. So, first of all, we remove anger, then we remove attachment, but finally, ignorance, confusion on how things exist. Yeah. If we can do that while we're in the human realm through relying on Buddha, taking refuge in the Dharma of emptiness, ultimate truth, and relying upon the Sangha, we can find protection from all suffering permanently and attain liberation or nirvana. Nirvana is a Sanskrit word which means liberation from the suffering of all our countless future lives. So we can turn to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, appreciating that they can protect us from all suffering. What we need to explore this month is what else can do that. Can a cup of tea? Cheers. You can't beat a good cup of tea. But this cup of tea is not going to protect me from the suffering of all my countless future lives. It's not going to do that. Yeah. Some friend, your friend, you go and see your friend, ask them, say, can you protect me from the suffering of all my countless future lives? See what they say. They say, have you gone mad? You think, no, I'm just thinking about the suffering of my countless future lives. Can you protect me from them? Anyone win the Euro Millions yesterday? Apparently it was 22 million, I think. So 22 million, was it 33 million? It was a lot, wasn't it? It was a lot. Anyone do the lottery? Let's say you won 33 million. Yeah. Imagine winning that amount of money, the big check. And then you ask the National Lottery or the Euro, will this protect me from the suffering of all my countless future lives? No, but it can help you to what can 33 million do for you? You can just buy stuff with it. That's all. You can't even buy peace. You can't use that 33 million to protect your mind from anger. And this is why the we talk about the three jewels, uh, and they're Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha because they're precious. They're more precious than anything material because the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha is what will protect us from the suffering of this life and all our countless future lives. They're incredibly precious jewels. Nothing, no material thing can offer us them. Let's say, for example, England football team, yeah, remember them? Win the Euros. Let's say they win the Euros in a few weeks' time, and then a few years' time they go on to win the World Cup. Yeah. And all the nation is celebrating. Yeah. Is that going to protect us from the suffering of all our countless future lives? It's just a respite, isn't it? It's just a temporary respite from our life. We have to really investigate, these things. If you want to get some depth and spend some time thinking, what can protect me? Yeah. There's different ways of going for refuge. Yeah. More and more profound ways of going for refuge. And then an even more profound way of going for refuge is the bodhisattva way of going for refuge, where we think, I need to protect myself from the suffering of this life. Okay. I need to protect myself from the suffering of the lower realms. Okay. I need to protect myself from the suffering of samsara or cyclic existence. Okay. Yeah, we've taken those refuge. We've got some protection. We've developed what's called renunciation, which is a wish to be free from the suffering of this life and all our countless future lives. But then we think, what can help me to protect others from the sufferings of all their countless future lives? Yeah, this is the Mahayana refuge. So initially the focus is on ourself. It's the equivalent of I'm drowning, help me. Help, 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 help. We get pulled out, we get pulled up. We transcend, we lift ourselves up. So we're on the bank now, we're protecting the thing, but then we see all these other people. What can protect them? How can I protect them? How can I protect them from the suffering of all their countless future lives? How? By going for refuge to the three jewels and becoming an enlightened being. First of all, becoming a bodhisattva, and then becoming an enlightened being so I can protect them. Yeah. So we go for refuge out of compassion for the suffering of others, all living beings. But we won't have that in our mind if we don't have the refuge for ourselves. If we don't realize our own predicament of all the sufferings we're going to experience, we won't have it for others. So we start with ourselves, but then we turn our attention around to others and we think, I go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha to protect me and all living beings from the suffering of all our countless future lives. It's a huge mind. It's a very profound, vast mind. We can ask ourselves the question, who else can do that in this world? Do we know anyone who can do that? Do we know anyone who can protect ourselves and others from the suffering of all our countless future lives? Can our dog, for example? Of course it can't. I'm just going to get a doggy, a nice furry doggy. I went into a library the other day and the librarian had started turning books into dogs. Mm. Incredible craft work. All around the library with all these books in the shapes of dogs. It's incredible. Yeah. Like those cute dogs with the sort of long sausage type long dogs that are quite popular at the moment. She'd somehow learned how to make turn a book into a dog. And she'd moved on from that and now doing hedgehogs. Yeah. Never mind reading books. Turn them into dogs. He's craft. Yeah. Fantastic activity. But it's just distraction. Hmm. Just not going to protect us from suffering. It if you check the activities that we do, we're not. Does that mean to say that you stop all activities? It doesn't. But it's just saying all the activities that we do just temporarily distract us. Yeah. They distract us from our own suffering. Because sooner or later we have to come back to it. Yeah. But what the three jewels are offering is a liberation from the suffering of what's going on now, what's going on in the future, and the suffering everyone else is experiencing. Therefore, I will turn to the three jewels. I will go for refuge, spiritual refuge to the three jewels. I'm not going for refuge to things that are within cyclic existence. So many people do this. If you go for refuge to something that is within cyclic existence, you are not protected from taking rebirth in cyclic existence because you're going for refuge to something that is within the cycle of suffering. So, for example, going for refuge to a god or some form of higher being within cyclic existence, which many people do, it's not going to protect you permanently from suffering. Mm. Important things to think about, going for refuge to another human or to a powerful person or to a charismatic person, whatever. These things are not going to protect us from suffering. It's just a response. We need actual protection from someone who's out of this entire cycle. Buddha means awakened one. He has woken up from the sleep of ignorance and he's out. He's out of it. So you think, I turn to Buddha. I turn to the teachings, the Dharma, which is going to get me out. And I turn to the Sangha who are following it, who are going to support this journey out. You may have noticed the image that was used for this course is Buddha pointing to the moon. So this image is taken from a bigger image, which is the wheel of life. Yeah, some of you know this from the lockdown days. Yeah. Where we studied the wheel of life, it's a pictorial image of samsara, all the different realms. Yeah, 6 different parts to the wheel of life. And outside the wheel of life is Buddha, and he's pointing to the moon. Yeah, the moon symbolizes enlightenment, and him pointing to the moon is saying, "Follow the Dharma, get out of this cycle, and attain enlightenment." So ultimately, when we go for refuge, we're thinking that we're thinking, "I turn to Buddha, his teachings, the Dharma, and the Sangha, to get out of this cycle of existence and to attain liberation." Where will that experience be? In my mind. That all take place within my mind. Yeah. until eventually what happens to us through turning to Buddha, his teachings, the Dharma, the Sangha, we eventually become a Buddha. We're not just doing this, saying, Buddha, you're amazing, you're great. I'll never become like you. I'm lowly and just help me, get me out. You know, we're turning to Buddha. We're saying, may I become like you. May I become just like you. At the moment, I'm not. Yeah, at the moment, I'm not like you. At the moment, I have delusions. I have confusion. But if I go for refuge to you, eventually I will become just like you. May I become just like you. May I become a Buddha to benefit all living beings. So this is the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta. So refuge leads to that. It's said that Buddha will take us wherever we want to go. Where do you want to go? What do you fancy for yourself? Got any plans for your life? I'm talking spiritual plans here, you know. Where do you want to go spiritually? Buddha can offer you whatever you want. So, for example, if you just want to be peaceful in this life, he can help you do that. If you want to be protected from the suffering of the lower realms, he can do that. If you want to attain nirvana, he can help you do that. If you want to become enlightened and become a Buddha just like him and benefit all living beings, he can help you do that. Cast your vote. Which one do you want? You can vote for all of them. You don't just have to do one. You think generally what happens with people is they first of all they say they may not even consciously realize it. It's like, I just want to feel better now. you know, I'm stressed and anxious. I want to feel better now. I think, okay, but it can help you do that. And then we have a bit of space, bit of time. It can help you to go deeper, 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 until eventually you can become enlightened. The only way you're going to become enlightened is knowing someone who's enlightened and having a connection with someone who's enlightened and receiving their blessings. Yeah. Without that, becoming enlightened, how is that going to be possible? Mm. We make it simple, We this month look at what you take refuge in, maybe subconsciously. Like for example, if you're feeling a bit low, do you turn to the chocolate? Any chocolate turners? You know, ooh, I'll have a nice chocolate. Yeah, that'll perk me up. You turn to something, a nice bowl of fruit. I'll take refuge. Whatever we take there. You think, am I actually taking refuge in this? Do I think this is going to protect me? Yeah, just explore. Yeah. And next time you're experiencing suffering, try turning to Buddha, turning to his Dharma, and just see, does it work? Yeah. And then even when it seems like you're not experiencing suffering, everything is okay. Just try, just sit, for example, sit in the garden and just, instead of turning to the internet, turn to Buddha. Go for refuge. See what happens to you. Yeah, this works. From an emergency perspective, if you find yourself in an accident, if you find yourself being mugged or even your house being robbed, these types of emergencies, we go for refuge to the police. We go for refuge to the ambulance. We go for refuge. But they don't really protect us. At that time, we need spiritual protection. Yeah. Go for refuge. Of course, we call the police, ambulance, fire brigade, but mentally, help. Please give me the strength to deal with the situation. You get some bad news, some difficult circumstance, turn go for refuge instead of, turning to our anxieties, stresses, and distractions. Go for refuge. And this is the time to go for refuge. Yeah, all the time, but at those times especially, turn. Because we don't know what's going to happen, do we? But if you have this great ally with you all the time, you'll continuously receive powerful blessings, mental strength to help you keep a peaceful, positive mind. So let us conclude this month's session by doing some meditation. So if you need the visualization, I've put it up on the screen. We start by turning our attention inwards, away from the busyness. And we can visualize, believe in front of us is the living Buddha, Shakyamuni, abiding there like the full moon, surrounded by stars. We can reflect how Buddha is like a supreme spiritual doctor who has attained enlightenment. His teachings, the Dharma, are the medicine to cure all our sickness and to protect us from the suffering of this life and all our countless future lives. If we practice the Dharma with the assistance of the Sangha, we ourselves can become just like Buddha, we can become enlightened ourselves. And then we'll be in a position to benefit all living beings. So we turn to the three jewels as a reliable source of protection from all the suffering in all our countless lives. And we turn to the three jewels with a sense of safety, sense of security, spiritual security, a sense of support for our spiritual life. We can visualize powerful blessings, positive energy as we turn to the three jewels coming from Buddha in front of us. Powerful blessings, blissful lights coming down into our crown chakra and descending into our body, filling our body with blissful, positive energy. So we try in meditation to go for refuge to Buddha, his teachings, the Dharma, those who follow his teaching, the Sangha. We turn to the three jewels to protect both ourselves and all living beings from the suffering of this life. and all our countless future lives. Okay, thank you very much. Without forgetting this refuge, please bring your session to a close. So we dedicate mentally all the good energy from this session so we can try to keep refuge to the best of our ability. We can try to integrate it into our daily life. So this type of mental activity, it's pure, it's pure, transcendent energy. So we try to keep it in our heart and share it with others. Next month will be August. And during this month, we'll emphasize turning to the three jewels again and again, as often as you can, exploring what you currently turn to, and try turning more to the three jewels, see what happens. Develop the intention to establish Dharma jewels in your own mind. So at the moment, Dharma for us is something that we've heard. Yeah. But what can eventually happen is that the Dharma jewel is something within us. So we are protected from the suffering of negativity. Imagine that. Yeah. If we had Dharma in our heart, we would be protected from more suffering in this life and in all our countless future lives. Without Dharma in our heart, we are open and prone to a lot of different types of suffering. Today, like for example, today, if you can keep Dharma in your heart, refuge in Buddha and the Sangha, you won't experience any suffering. Today, you don't have to wait. But it's when we forget. Yeah. We just forget, don't we? We get distracted. Ooh. And then we start suffering again. And then we start blaming other people again. And then we get back into the cycle of samsara again. Whereas if you make this connection right now, from your perspective, although you're in the human realm, you're on your way out. You're going because you're connected. Yeah, you're connected continually. It's like And during the first session, when I started talking about Buddha, the whole session's disconnected, didn't it? It's really bizarre. Like my computer just something happened to it. It was like, this is too much. Yeah? But like now we're all connected to the internet through Wi-Fi. This is being streamed through Wi-Fi. Yeah. And we're connected to this web. For as long as we're connected, we can stay together. Yeah. Earlier, the connection finished. It severed, like just for about 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The computer, something happened to the computer and it restarted itself. At that time, everything stopped, didn't it? It's like the meeting was there, but the connection had been severed. But now the connection is there. So this continues. Yeah. We communicate. We are connected. So with your refuge, if you stay connected to the three jewels, you're connected to protection from suffering. So your suffering will diminish today, almost to the point where you don't have any. Yeah, you're just going through human life, but your suffering has gone because you've got refuge. You've you've got complete protection from suffering continuously. But when that connection drops, suffering. So for that reason, stay connected to refuge for as often as you possibly can. You know? And then you'll be your life, just this life, never mind future lives. Of course, they're coming, but this life, spiritually, no problem, mentally, no problem. Of course, things going to happen externally, but inside, we are happy all the time. That would be so wonderful for us. And we can have that today if we stay connected. How do we stay connected? By remembering, by being mindful of this connection. And when you do your meditation, add this to it. There's a big difference from just sitting and meditating on your own to then meditating with all these enlightened beings. Huge, huge difference. Try it this month, see what happens to you. Experiment. Yeah. Stay connected. So next month in August, it's time to all remain connected, but we go on to the next Lamrim meditation, which is looking at actions and their effects, or what is sometimes referred to as karma. We'll be exploring the theme of karma in the beginning of August. Also, starting at the end of July, is the new live stream on a Saturday. Saturdays at 10 a.m., taking us through the summer months. July the 27th, it starts 10 a.m. till 11 a.m., 1 hour sessions. The theme is your golden mind. Yeah. This will be looking at cultivating uh, enlightened potential, our enlightened nature, and it will include visualization of the golden Buddha who we have introduced here. That will be part of that course to create a golden summer, yeah, summer of gold. Never mind 33 million euros. This is the real gold. The real wealth is our refuge. Yeah. So if you've got total conviction in this refuge, you'll feel as though you've won the lottery now. That joy of 33 million Imagine that. I've got permanent protection from the suffering of this life and all my countless future lives. Wow. On the M6 yesterday, beautiful road. Yeah. Coming back from Warwick, there was this billboard and it had two caravans. Yeah. And there was a sea view. And this is like on the in one of the sort of busiest bits of the M6 as you go from Birmingham to Wolves. And it said, go somewhere more wow. Yeah. And it had a picture of two caravans on the side of a cliff and the sea. We can do a lot better. Yeah. That's not refuge. You go somewhere like that, nice. Yeah, but it's just a temporary respite from our life. We have to go back to our life eventually. This, this is the real wow. Yeah, if you want a big wow, you're not going to get it in a caravan on the side of a cliff. Yeah, this is transcendent wow. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the three jewels. Thank you for coming. It's now your turn. Before we go and wow ourselves, if you've got any questions regarding the three jewels or anything that's been covered today, now is your time to talk.